About 4,500 members of the American Farm Bureau Federation gathered here in sunny San Diego, where they made some policy changes as well as looked ahead to changes in the year 2015. The convention theme, Tradition, Perseverance, Vision, Farm Bureau Proud, was on display as members debated policy priorities for 2015. With the passage of the 2014 Farm Bill, there's not as much for Farm Bureau members to discuss.
Actually, this has really been a pretty tame convention and also a delegate session. The Farm Bill last year, of course, was the big issue, and so this year we're kind of tweaking things around that. Crop insurance had a few tweaks in it today, but really more clarifications than actual substance there. So far, nothing major come out of this delegate session.
I think it was a little odd that we did not have any discussion on dairy. We usually have a lot of discussion on dairy, and we did not this time. We're also not dealing with a new farm bill. We're not developing a farm bill. We have a new farm bill, and so there's usually a lot of discussion there, and a lot of that's already past us. But we'll keep those policies in place that give direction and guidance to all of this organization when it comes to the Farm Bill, for the future Farm Bills and how this Farm Bill is implemented, the dairy program that we have now and how it's implemented, all the conservation programs and how they're implemented, and so we'll have policy dealing with all of those. The discussion's been good. People had the opportunity to voice their opinions, and then the voting delegate body has spoken as to whether those should be policy or not.
There are many important issues, but fewer issues, and we have completed a farm bill. We're implementing that farm bill now. I think there's some satisfaction level of how it's being implemented. We've covered policies that range from A to Z and fairly thoroughly. The resolutions process currently goes to the state board, and all the state presidents, what they've had a review through the resolutions process. Agreements have been made on our policy language, so a lot of the heavy lifts have been taken care of before we get to this setting. But every delegate here has the opportunity to amend, delete, or create new policy. And so it can get interesting at a moment's notice.
Indiana Farm Bureau President Don Vilwalk said with struggling times in the farm economy, these Farm Bureau policies are critical.
Well, we all know that agriculture is cyclical, and we've been very blessed since 2008, been very profitable on the grain side of agriculture. The livestock sector in recent years have had increased prices, although there's not a lot of supply there. That's why we've had increased commodity prices on the livestock side, but now we're seeing that decline. We've reached the peak of many of those price increases, and we're starting to see it come down. So a safety net for agriculture is really critical. One of the things we can't control as farmers is really what the weather does to us, what that means supply and demand for crops, or even in the instance of the drought, for what it did to our livestock numbers and especially the beef cattle industry. So even though we like and believe in the fair market and Farm Bureau, there are instances where there's an appropriate place for the government to be involved.
Getting farmers from different regions and commodities on the same page when it comes to unified policy recommendations can be a difficult task, but all three agree that it's necessary to create a unified Farm Bureau.
And this organization is the voice of agriculture, and it's extremely important that we get that voice out there, and so that the government in this country understands that we need for them to listen to our input.
But that's one of the strengths of Farm Bureau, because that's what you have to do in Congress. You have to learn how to get along with each other, different regions of the state. You need to find some commonality. You need to compromise if you're going to get something actually accomplished, and I think that's really critical. And so it's a little bit easier for a single commodity organization that really works on one commodity to come to consensus on an issue, but really I think Farm Bureau truly reflects what we see in our nation's capital, and hopefully that helps us be more pragmatic in moving legislation forward.
It's no small task, but it's very, very interesting. We come, I'm the president of the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we come from corn, soybeans, cattle, hogs, eggs, and a few commodities, and other states come from hundreds of commodities that they're addressing. regions differ so much in the climate and the concerns they have. So it's a real educational process to hear about what others are experiencing, the challenges and the opportunities that they have, and how we can address and unite the organization around consensus. And finding that consensus is something we're doing here. There's going to be contests and there's going to be conflicts on occasion, but keeping the organization together is incredibly important. We're such a small segment of society today. We got to stick together.
After Farm Bureau members debate what they'd like to see as policy changes for their organization, a board of directors meeting will set their top priorities for 2015. The next annual convention of the American Farm Bureau Federation will be held January 2016 in Orlando, Florida. Reporting for AgriPulse, I'm Spencer Chase.